Okay, so today we are going to discuss a very important principle of object-oriented programming called inheritance and its side effect polymorphism. Not side effect, you could say anything. It's sibling, or you could say anything like its use. You could say its advantage also, right? So till now we did data hiding. We have always been hiding our data. All our data is always private, right? We've learned how to encapsulate data and methods together into a class definition. So anything that is about an entity, the data, how I look, and what can I do. So data and methods have gone inside a capsule, inside a class definition, and this is called encapsulation. So data hiding and encapsulation we've been kind of working on from day one, as soon as we started doing classes. And today we'll learn a very important principle of object-oriented programming called inheritance, right? Till now you have been using classes. You've created classes. For example, stock manager that you created had used the product class. So it had an array list of the products. The trouble ticketing system that you created last week, there was a trouble ticketing system, and the trouble ticketing system had an array list of tickets. So you have been working with collections. You've also been using other classes in the Java API, like the string class. You've also used the local date time class and so on, right? So till now we've been doing composition. So composition is has a relationship. Has a relationship means a class has objects of another class inside it. That's a has a relationship. Today you are going to learn about an is a relationship. For example, I would say something like this: triangle is a shape, right? That's a is a relationship. Or car is a vehicle, right? Student, full-time student is a student. A full-time employee is an employee. So there is an inheritance that I'm going to work on today. So all examples that you've done till now, which had more than one classes, of course, not a single class, you had done the has a relationship, right? That has a relationship simply means a class has objects of, or is using objects of another class. That another class could be coming from the Java API, that another class could be coming from something that you have created, right? So now, whenever you write applications, you'll always have to think carefully. Do I want to do, is it suitable to do inheritance in this example, or will composition work better? So there's always a smart decision, or not even a very careful decision, looking into pros and cons and so on, has to be taken when you work with either composition or a has a relationship or a is a relationship. What I'm going to work on today is something of this sort. Right, so what I've created here is just a diagram, and I want to cover all these this week and next week, right? So I want to cover inheritance and polymorphism and interfaces also, which is another way of inheritance, in these 2 weeks. That's my aim. And then I would like to give you an assignment on inheritance, right? So that's what I'm thinking of doing, which most probably will be your last assignment in the semester. So the assignment that you just submitted on Sunday was your third assignment, and there's another one. And then of course the final exam. So I'm hoping I can find something that will, I mean, I can leave it to you. I can say create any inheritance, but I don't want to do that, because then there are so many more things into it, right? People think differently, and then one may have 2 instance variables, the another student may use 10 instance variables. So I'm trying to see if I can find a generic inheritance and give it to you to kind of work with it. If you look at this, I've chosen an inheritance example which kind of works well, right? Almost all of us should be able to understand it. Like most of you should be able to understand with students. They are part-time students, they are full-time students, and so on. Yana, do you have your phone charger?
Yeah.
Thank you. I've lost mine. Can you imagine? That's the second one. I don't know where I kept it. Sorry to trouble you. I thought, oh, Yana had it last time.
Yeah.
And remember to take it from me. Yeah. Okay. I go to so many classes, and I think I just left it in one of the classrooms, and I can't even remember now. When I don't find it the next time, then I know, oops, what did I do with it? So please remember to take it, okay? Okay, so this is the example I have picked up, because as I said, it's a common example, right? So you will see that there is a hierarchy up there, right? There's a hierarchical structure that you see. It could go until any levels, but I've kind of stopped at 3. So I'm going to write when I do it, I'll tell you why this is in italics. It's an abstract class, but I'm going to say that I'm going to create a project in which I'm going to define a class called employee. So common attributes of an employee will go into this class, like every employee has a name, right? Every employee has a hire date. Every employee has a SIN number. But you say every employee has a salary also. But what I have done is my salary is not fixed, and therefore I have different type of employees at level number 2. I have a salaried employee. This person gets a salary which is fixed. I have a commission employee. This person gets a commission based on the sales he or she makes. And then I have an hourly employee who is paid hourly, right? So you'll say, oh, salary, but yes, I need to calculate salary, but it depends upon different employees. Okay. So I'll create another level of you could say, hierarchy. That's what I'm saying. And then just so that I can show you another level, what I did was I will create another class called base plus commission. This employee has a commission based on the sales he or she makes, but also has a base salary. Okay, so this is an employee. So if you kind of look at the structure, you can kind of almost say this from the structure that I show you, that a salaried employee is an employee, so is a commission employee, and so is an hourly employee. And further, a base plus commission employee is a commission employee, which is further an employee. So you can go to any level, there is no restriction at all. There can be any levels in hierarchy, in a hierarchical structure. But this type of relationship is a relationship. So a salaried employee is an employee. So when you say it, there is a relationship which is not a has-as, which you've been doing till now, which was basically a composition, but this is a relationship. For example, I said shapes, right? Your shapes, you could have 2-dimensional shapes and 3-dimensional shapes. And that's a little mathematical, so I didn't pick up that example because not everybody, one of you may be kind of familiar with it, but hoping that at least you know a little. So shapes can be grouped into 2, 3D or 2D shapes. And then in 2D shapes, if you know a few things, you could have circle, you could have square, you could have triangle, and so on, right? And in 3D shapes, you could have cylinder, you could have a cube, you could have a cuboid, and so on, right? So this is again a hierarchy. So a 2D shape is a shape, and a triangle is a 2D shape, right? So when we draw, what are we trying to gain out of it? I mean, what will we do? Why is it helpful in object-oriented programming? Reuse of code, right? So what I'll do, what actually is done in inheritance is that you start putting instance variables and methods right from the top. So anything that is common to all classes will go at the top, the first root. Then you come down and say, oh, these are the extra instance variables or the extra methods that I will need at level 2. Then you go down, you'll say, oh, I already have all this. Inheritance means you already have what belongs to your super class or your super class or whatever. So it could be a direct inheritance or it could be an indirect inheritance. But whatever it is, the class, depending upon, of course, the scope specifiers, which we'll talk about, private, public, and protected, a new one, what is available to a subclass. So in Java, we call it a subclass and superclass. And if you've studied C++, they are called base classes and derived classes. So I'll stick to super and sub. So your subclass could have an immediate parent, could have more than one parents, and so on. But the notion of inheritance is reuse of code. That's its main use, reuse, which you've been doing till now also. You don't reinvent the wheel. You have a string class, you use methods from the string class, you don't create new methods if it is already available. So the same concept in inheritance also. So instance variables and methods that are common to all classes will go at level number 1. Then level number 2 says, oh, that's all I have, now I want to add more to it. Level number 3 says, I already have those, now I want to add more to it. And that's how it goes. That's the whole concept of inheritance. So when you start drawing inheritance diagrams, you can kind of think them as class diagrams, but it's not such a class diagram. But notice the arrows. The arrows are saying a salaried employee is an employee. The reverse relationship is not true. Not every employee is a salaried employee. Okay, so the relationship is you have to think what is it, and you draw your diagrams accordingly. And notice the arrow heads are going from the subclass to the superclass. So what I'm going to do is just to introduce inheritance to you. I'm going to pick up 2 things first. I'm going to pick up the commission employee and the base plus commission employee because I see an inheritance there. We'll create these classes, we'll talk about it, I'll tell you about all that can be done and cannot be done and so on. And then once you have that thing clear in your mind, then I'll kind of, expand my inheritance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the commission employee. We'll talk about what does a commission employee look like the characteristics of it, what are the methods it needs, and then I'll create a subclass of it, and then talk about it. And then, because there are more employees that exist, I'll kind of make a bigger picture. Right? So what I've put on Blackboard for you is not immediately required. So I've put an employee and I've put a commission employee, but that commission employee is from this diagram when I kind of improve it. Okay, so I'll start from basics. We'll talk about inheritance in basic, and then once you have the knack of it, what is allowed, what is not allowed, and so on, then we'll go a step further and clear. So this is the aim this week and next week, to kind of create this diagram and create the classes that works for this diagram. That's my aim, right? And in the process, I'll tell you as much as I can about abstract classes, interfaces, final classes, whatever that is kind of linked with inheritance. This is a kind of your final topic in the syllabus, in the course outlines. I'm hoping I can finish it in 2 weeks, so that the second last week I can show you more of collections like a hash map or a tree map, so that your final exam can have that part of. I mean, I don't have to. If you know array list, you should be able to use any one of them, but I would like you to see it in case it comes, you see something of that sort in the exam. Keep in mind, the final exam will again be a practical exam. You will be allowed to use the API, the Java API, and you should be able to use classes from the JV API, which you may have never even used. Plus, if I give you some code, you must be able to use methods from those classes. Okay. So again, everything that we've done from day one till end is everything will be in the course. Okay. Something like, definitely it will be a little more complex than what you've done in your midterm, but the format remains the same, a practical exam. Okay, that's what I'm hoping. Okay, so with me, we'll kind of come back to it. I wanted you to see where inheritance makes a natural appearance. And again, composition has a relationship and inheritance is a relationship, or two relationships that exist between classes in Java, right? In an object-oriented programming world, you should say, not only in Java, wherever. So we are learning, we've done composition for a while. Stock inventory had stock products. We've done trouble ticketing system had tickets. We've done a few compositions. Now we'll go to is a relationship. So compositions are has a relationship. There is an advantage and a disadvantage to both. When I was saying about pros and cons, in a has a relationship, the classes are loosely coupled. Like, you could make changes to product, you could add more methods, and it will not necessarily affect your inventory. You could use the new methods. But here they're very tightly coupled because it is an inheritance. Inheritance is always tightly coupled. And tightly coupled says, if it is tightly coupled, any small change in any of the classes will affect all other classes. So you have to be careful about what to choose for your application. Sometimes inheritance is the only solution, but sometimes you can do the same thing with composition, and with composition, the advantage is loosely coupled classes. And loosely coupled or independent classes means changes can be done to classes without affecting the model. And that's something that is preferred. You could create small classes, each doing its own job with an entity. And then if you need to make changes, it's much easier to make changes in small classes and without affecting other classes. So if you read a little bit about composition or inheritance and composition on the web and try to get a knack of it, it will be good. But it is something that sometimes inheritance seems to be the only solution. Sometimes inheritance can be replaced by composition. And which is better or not, you'll have to kind of take your bet on it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, and if you want to follow along, you're most welcome to do this. So this diagram is on Blackboard just so that you had it. So I have just created a new project called Employee Inheritance in NetBeans. So you can choose the same name if you like. You can choose whatever if you like, right? So I'll start for this diagram today. At least I should be able to cover these two. I'm going to do this relationship and talk about all the concepts in inheritance. And then it will be easier to just expand it. It will be easier to expand it. So I've chosen this just because that's the only one I see. I don't have anything under salaried or hourly. Once I have this under the belt and you understand it, then it is very easy to kind of extend the inheritance. Okay, so we'll start with the commission employee. Okay, so you can start a project if you like. And once you have a project, we'll start creating classes. So I'm going to create a commission employee class. You can call it whatever you like. I'm just staying with the diagram I have, right? So I'm going to create a class called commission employee. Normal, regular class, but a few things that will be new to us now. So right now, I won't pay much attention to comments for now, just because of time limit, and two, I've done quite a bit of commenting with you over the past 10 weeks, right? So I'm hoping that you don't forget it. So I'll come back, or once I'm done, I'll complete it or whatever, but I'm more concentrating on inheritance today, right? Okay, now this is a commission employee. It's a class that is defining an employee who works on commissions, right? So the first thing before we kind of start coding is designing the class, right? So don't forget your class diagrams. I've not been using them a lot, but you can't forget that. Class diagrams will show you a diagrammatic representation in which you give the name of the class. And this is something that you will use if you work in Java, wherever. Then come your instance variables, and then come your methods, right? The instance variables tells you whether they're public or private. So public or private. So ours are usually private. And then your methods are usually public, but that's what the plus and the minus stand for. Okay. So what are the characteristics of a commission employee? What do you think are the characteristics? How do I look? What are the instance variables or attributes of a commission employee? Let's start with the common ones. Every employee has a name, an ID, a SIN number. So we'll take SIN number to be ID, but yeah, an ID, right? Something that is unique to that particular employee. So we have an ID too at the college. So we do have some. What else? What else will the employee have? Date of hire maybe, right? Another important thing, salary. But this person is not working on salary. This person is also working on a commission rate. So we'll need a commission rate, right? Since he's or she is a commission employee, they get commission and that's all they get. So the sales they make and the commission rate will give you the salary. Okay, so we need those attributes also. So let's start. And as I said, you could add whatever. I again am restricting myself to the minimum, just because remember in the real world, if you know the concepts, then it's very easy to kind of extend them. So whenever we write code, we always keep in mind that our code must be extensible. So don't think, oh, that's the end of it. Oh, why didn't we add this? We don't add everything because this is not a real-time environment and we really don't know. We could make guesses, but we make intelligent guesses. So employee ID is definitely an educated guess. Every employee has an employee ID. Every employee has a name. Good. Every employee will have a date of hire, but maybe if this person is working on commission, I don't know, but date of hire doesn't look like a bad one to me at all, right? So for your information, there is a class that will allow you to work with dates. Again, I'm trying to keep it simple because my time is limited and my emphasis, as I'm repeating, is on inheritance, a very important principle of object-oriented programming. Okay, so I'll keep a few small things, but then we'll go ahead and do more. Okay. Okay, so we definitely need you know what I'll do? Just because give me a minute, please. I'm going to do something. Where does that come from? Is that the on? Okay. To make my life simple so that I don't have to think and write it, and I have something already in prepared, so I'm going to do something. I'm going to just give me 1 minute. Oh, I already have it maybe. The only thing is, can I open it here and not kind of save your work? If you need to access files on the college network, double click the logout icon and log in with your network. Okay. Okay, admin. Oh, keyboard. H. Okay. I'm just opening up a reference file. That way I don't have to think. But you can start putting your private variables. We said we will need an employee ID, but I don't think I took one. But I had a name for sure, a first name and a last name or whatever. So since I have a kind of a picture made, let me use that. Oh God, it's really slow. Yeah, that's not the one that will come. No, I said download them, but don't copy them yet. We'll start with what I'm doing, and then that's a neater or a better form in the hierarchy when I have the employee class. So keep it with you. Maybe towards the end of the class we will need it. Oh, come on, so slow. Okay, there we are. Again. Oh, the college system is really slow. Okay, there we are. The podium machine has come handy today. Bear with me, please. Okay, not this one. So I'll need some. See. Okay. Oh, all files are of the same nature. Okay. Doesn't seem like I have the original, but that's fine. So let's begin with our variables. We'll take a name. Right. So I'm just kind of going as small as I can. I'll take a social security number. You can call it whatever you like. I'm just kind of never be lazy with. What else shall I take? Of course, the sales. What else will work? The sales and the commission, at least two things. Of course, you can go ID, you can go date of hire and so on, right? But instead of concentrating on date of hire or making employee ID unique, which is more work, I'll stick to something where I don't have to do a lot of validation. Okay, that's another thing. With social security number and with IDs, then I'll say, oh, the IDs must be unique. Then I'll have to take care that I only create unique IDs. So there is more code to it. And we've already done that. We've done that. So I want to concentrate on that. I'll stick to this. Take another one. We'll call it, it's a double. We'll call it gross sales. And we'll take another one and we will call it commission rate. There, right? What did it like? Oh, spelling. You already know what private means. Private means that these instance variables are hidden, are only available to code inside the class, right? So objects that you create out of this class, cannot use them. Then, I mean, to use them, then you need your setters and getters, okay? Now, let's write our constructor. We know how to do that. So let's go public. You know what, maybe I'll do a little cheating just because you also have it. You could cheat a little too if you like. Just to save myself work. And you can, if you like, if you know what to do, you can cheat too. Okay, so what I have is constructor here. This constructor takes a name, takes a social security number, takes sales, and takes a commission rate, right? We all know that that's what a constructor does. It basically creates an object with the fields. Now, a few things that I would like to talk about, and then we'll change it. So just go your regular. You always set something. So we'll say set name as the name usual, and we'll put the set getter methods in a minute. Okay, set social security number and pass the social security. Sorry. Oh, thank you. Don't forget conventions, of course. And then comes, so for name, I won't do any. I could, now that you know regular expressions, you can start doing your, actually there is also a matches method, which is much easier in the string class. So for small things like names and phone numbers, you could also work with it. You don't have to use the matcher and the pattern class I used last week, but I told you more complicated, or not more complicated, more generic, that you could use anyway. But string also has a matches classes. We'll use the set gross sales and pass the gross sales to it. And again, I've made a mistake, the variable. And we will do the set of commission rate. Go ahead and put empty your sets and gets. You needn't type it in. So if you go to source, was it? Where you can, I haven't used it for a while. Anybody remember? Was it in source, I think, right? Where you can just insert quote your getters and setters. Refactor? Okay. And then encapsulate fields. You're right. And we'll encapsulate all of them, okay? Create setters and getters. And select all was there. Okay, so there it is. As I said, I'm not concentrating on comments today at all. So all our gets are there. For sets, I won't do anything with social security number or the name, but I want to do something with the set of the sales and the commission rate. What? Why? Because sales cannot be negative, so we'll throw an exception. Sales cannot be negative, so we'll throw an exception. So you do your regular, you go if the gross sales is greater than, let's say is less than 0. Let me throw, we've again done quite a bit of exception handling, so I'm just going to use the illegal argument exception so that I don't have to put the throws clause and so on. And you can say that gross sales needs to be greater than 0. Anything less than or if, I mean, it depends. If you're okay with equal to, that's fine, because somebody may not sell anything. Must be greater or equal to 0. There, right? So illegal argument exception, remember, this is an unchecked exception. It is a subclass of the exception class. And if you throw an illegal argument exception, you're saying my argument is illegal, but it is an unchecked one, so you don't have to add throws clause in your signatures. I have not been using it. I always create my own exception classes so that I force you to write your throws clause. Again, since we've done quite a bit of it and this is easier for me, I'll just do this. So what do? If it is less than 0, I throw the exception, else I set the gross sales. Please do the same in your commission rate. So I'll kind of do a little cheating from here again. We'll put it here. And in this, we have to check that the commission rate should be, remove your get and put a commission rate. If your commission rate is less than 0 or equal also, I mean, a commission rate of 0 doesn't make sense. It's a base, it's an employee that works, the poor guy already works on commission, and so the value should be greater than 0. So we'll kind of say that commission rate should be greater than 0. There, right? So I haven't made any changes to the sets of, did I put it in the wrong place? Yes, I did. I did not make any changes to the other set methods just because that's, again, I'm trying to work with this one today. So I've just said name is okay, social security number, whatever you give me is okay. I haven't done any matches or nothing. Everything is legal, which of course is not, but we'll kind of just avoid it. Now let's write the other important methods. Definitely this person has to have a salary. Let's not call it salary, let's just say earnings, so that I can call it earnings wherever. So create a public method, right? And it will return a double because it's going to work on gross sales and commission. Let's call it earnings. Again, you could call it whatever you like, whatever you think, but I'm just kind of sticking to, as I said, spelling earnings, EARNING. And does it need anything from you? No, because it's going to calculate the earnings based on what it already has. So what should it return? It should return. So again, if you would like to use the get methods, I leave it to you. If it is an overkill, like many programmers will just use them without fail. So basically earnings is your sales multiplied by your commission rate. So if you would like to go with, they say any important method that's kind of working, you're working and you're calculating something, you should just use the get methods. I mean, it really depends. I usually stick to the toString, but there it is. So it's get gross sales. That's how you calculate the earnings of a commissioned employee. Just take the sales and multiply it by the commission rate. Okay, so this rate is coming as a percentage. So if it's 25, that's too much, I think. But anyway, you could say it's only between 0 and 10. You could even have checked that it is between 0 and 10 or whatever. You could have done whatever you like. I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. So if you want that my commission rate must be between 0 and 1, then we'll have to change this. Right? So if we say if it is between 0 and 1, that's only the commission rate we want. 0 and 1, why means? Because it's like 1 means 100%, right? So that's if you want to do that. Otherwise, somebody may give a commission rate of 200 or 300. So you could, if you like, you could incorporate that condition here. You could say if the commission rate is less than 0, if it is less than 0 or it is greater than 1, you can add whatever you like depending upon your logic, right? Here. So if it is less than 0 or greater than 1, we throw an exception and we say should lie between, should be between. But I think commission rates should have a value. There should be an upper limit also, right? Doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know. We'll say, oh, the commission will be 300% of the sales. I doubt if any company will do that. So I'm kind of going between 0 and 1 because it just means that it is 100% less than or equal to 100%. So either way, whatever you like. So if it is greater than 0 and less than 1. So if you would like to put it in any condition, you'll say, oh, 0 is also not allowed. Then you put it here. You'll say if it is less than or equal to 0, then it's a problem. So it depends how you want to do it. And if you say, oh, the commission rate can be 1. So we say, okay, if it is greater than 1, it is a problem. And you'll say, I won't give 100%. Then you can always do it here also. So the condition, what you want to check depends upon what you want to do. Okay. So this one is saying 0 is also a problem and 1 is also, so it's between 0 and less than 100. Whatever is given, whatever your application says. So the condition is whatever you want to do, but please be careful. I don't put an and here. Some of you are still, not some, a couple of you are still struggling with ands and ors. You always think about and means this condition must be true and this condition must be true. Keep that in mind. And or means either this condition is true or this condition is true. So say it what you want, think about it what you want and then code it. Because if you have your condition wrong, gone, like you haven't even validated your data and validation has marks. So you will lose those marks completely. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I leave it to you, whatever you want to do. I've kind of gone between 0 and 1. If you want to include 0, you will exclude it from here. though it doesn't make sense. And if you want to exclude 100% commission is not given, you will remove the equality from here. So if it is less than or equal to 0 or it is greater than or equal to 1, it is an error, else you use it. Okay, so the earnings is just getting the commission rate and multiplying by the sales and giving it back to you. Our favorite override method, right? The override method, the public method, which is returns a string, is called toString. And since I don't have any exceptions thrown, I can override it. If you're calling a method and that's throwing an exception, then you can't override the string because you can't change its signatures. Okay, so you can, for now, you can write whatever you want, but this will change a little. So let's return. Take your string, always format it, and please use specifiers. And don't forget your specifiers. If you're going with printf in your system println statements, or you're using string.format, you need to use the format specifiers. Otherwise, nothing happens when you try to print it without a specifier. So we'll use the usual, right? You can give it a name. You can give this person a name if you like. Now I'm not going to write anything here. I'll write everything in my format string. I don't know if you've seen this before, but you can also do this. You can also give a negative with your S. What does a negative do? Instead of left justified, it comes to the right. So your heading, so if you give it 25 spaces and you're trying to write Anju in it, Anju is only 4 characters. It will take the first 4 and the rest 21 will be empty. But if I give minus 25s, the Anju will move towards the right. So if you want to make it prettier, you can use negative with your strings. So what happens is strings are always left justified. They always start, and then wherever they finish, it's done. But if you want to make your heading right justified, you can do it on the right by doing a minus, just so that you know. So how do you write it? You write a minus, and the 25 is the size of your string. If you don't give a size, how much do you get? Exactly what you want to put into it. But you can do this, right? It can be done. It's just a specifier. So percentage minus 25s means it's a string. S is for string. 25 is the size. How much do you want for it? And minus says towards the right. And if you put a plus, it will be towards the, which is the default. You don't have to put a plus. Okay. So what I'm going to do so that you can see, in the first one, I'm going to write commissioned employee. Or just commission employee. So that will go in my first percentage S. So you can even start giving your headings here. Nothing stops you, right? That's your first one. So that's what will go in the first string. In the second string, if you want to put the person's name or sales or whatever you like, you can do that. But this is an S. So we'll get the name. That will go in your second S. Okay. And oh, sorry, we need a heading also. So notice you can put the name itself. You can put the heading also here itself. And if you just want to say the heading, so this will come, the heading will now come right justified in 25. So something like this, just making it pretty. So you will have commission employee will come in one line, the first line. Then in the second line, you are saying name and you're saying give me 25 characters for it and make it right justified. This is how name will come, right? So they'll all be aligned properly. That's all it does. Okay, now after the name, you want to show the name. And the name is a string. So percentage S, get the name, comma. So as you put it there, put it here also. Now what do you want to do? This person has a name, has a SIN number. You could stay in the same line if you want, or you can just put it in brackets if you want. If you want to give it a heading, you can say social security number. Okay, so it depends. So if I want to put the social security number right in brackets, I can do it right here in just brackets. But if you want to say something like give a slash tab or whatever, so I could do like this. I could put a bracket. Then I could put a percentage S and a bracket. And then we'll say get SIN number here. So what will it do? It will replace this percentage S by the social security number. It doesn't have a heading, but sometimes you'll say, what does that mean? Is it his ID or is it the social security number? Then people prefer to kind of not go this way. But then what can you do? Have you used tab before? You can go percentage T for tab. I think percentage will also work. Yep, right? And then say another percentage S in minus 25S. I'm making it pretty. See, I'll show you how it looks. And then you can put a colon if you like. So what are you saying? Name, and then after the name, let's put social security number. Oh, this will be more than 25, right? This is a big one. I'm positive this will be more than 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, exactly 25. So you could go 30 if you like, right? So just to be on the safe side, I'll make it 30. Social security number is a big one. So see what is happening. The first percentage S will be replaced by commission employee, right? You can always start with a percentage N because you don't know if somebody has put. So always start with a new line. The first percentage S will replace this. This is how it will be written. Commission employee goes to a new line. After going to a new line, writes the heading or the subheading name in 30 characters, right? So blanks and then the word name and puts a colon and whatever. Then it writes again the word social security number. Then writes the get name. So that's get name. Then it goes to a tab, leaves a tab. I'm not sure if percentage will work with tab also. Otherwise, we'll put a backslash. I know percentage N works. Then the heading social security number, again, write justified. And then the value of social security number. What's your next one now? Your next one is, again, you could go to a new line if you like, and then write gross sales. So percentage, again, minus 30S to write the sales. And then the percentage 0.2F to write the sales again. Then again, if you would like to throw a tab, again the heading, and then again the commission rate. Right, so it will just make it pretty. I'll show you how pretty it looks. Right, I'll show you how pretty it looks. It's just how you want to show it. Okay, so now let's complete it. After the social security number, I go to a new line. I put the heading gross sales. If you don't want to make it pretty or whatever, it's not a big deal. You don't have to. I'm just showing you because you've never done this before. And then comes the gross sales. All you have to do is match. Then you show commission rate. And then you get the commission rate. And a semicolon. And if you have not made any mistakes, there it is. That's what you're returning. Right? I'll quickly show you if you're interested. It's not a big deal. I'm going to open my Blue J, or even in the tester. We have a tester here. Employee inheritance. There you are. Let's quickly create a employee, a commission employee. Oops. Let's just call it CE for now. Let's go new commission employee. Okay, what does the commission employee want? The commission employee needs a name. So let's go my name. I have no clue of my social security number and I'm not giving it anyway. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then comes the sales and it's a double. I'll just give an integer. And then comes the commission rate. And I'll give a 0.25 commission rate. Okay, so I've created an employee and then doesn't like the commission employee. What have I gone wrong here? What isn't working?
2 S's.
2 S's somewhere?
No,
oh, the set social security number is not written. Cannot find symbol. Oh, spelling mistake. Oops. Oh God. Anywhere else? Okay.
Yeah, on the other file.
Somewhere else too?
In the other file, you have 3 S's.
No, now it's okay. I don't see a red squiggly in. Oh, in the other one now, yeah. So now 3 S's here. Thank you. And this. Okay, there. So do a system out println of your CE. And I'll show you how that toString is looking. Okay, so give it a run. Control S. Okay, give it a run. And somewhere have missed my things. God, what didn't it like? In employee inheritance at Java, print stream string.java. So somewhere I've messed up. And of course, with so many things, you will mess up. But let's see, where have I messed up? It will mess up a little. So go to a new, or maybe percentage. Let's try that, backslash. That's my doubt. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's what I think could have caused it. Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's what caused it. Okay, look at the output now. So percentage T is not allowed, guys. It's a backslash T. Notice what has come. Commission employee comes in O. So it's left justified instead of right. The default is right. So I could make it right and I don't have to give minus then. Notice this is taking 30 characters. This is what the 30 means. That's the size of the field, right? And minus 30 says keep it toward the left. That means by default it is towards the right. Okay, minus says keep it to the left. Then I gave a tab. That's a tab. See, that's a tab. And then the social security number didn't have much space because it's quite a big. And then came my social security number. So if you remove your minus from it, this is how it will act. Remove your minus and see how it will act. Yes, Bradley, what's your question?
Yes, I didn't exactly get to have a good view of the set gross sales. It's the only one of the 2 minutes that we haven't done yet.
Oh, it's still not doing it.
So,
That's working. Give me a minute, Bradley. Give me a minute. Why is it still giving? Oh, because I didn't remove this minus. Okay. See the difference now without the minus. This is what happens when you don't use the minus. It comes towards the right. So that's the default. So 30 is just giving you a tabular. So make it will just look neat. It just looks neat. I mean, it's more for tabular structure, but you should just know it. I mean, you don't have to use it, and I won't. It's a lot of time, but that's what the size does. Yes, Bradley, what are you missing?
So if I could just see the set gross sales method.
Uh-oh. We threw an exception.
Okay, I didn't get the chance to copy it down, so I followed along by copying down the set commission rate and due stream. So
right. Okay, so that's what the percentage S with the size does, and the minus and the plus keeps it towards the. So the default is right justified. You can make it left justified, right? Just to show you. Maybe after this I'll kind of ignore it, but you know what it means. Percentage N to go to a new line, and backslash T to give tabs. So those are the tabs that are coming. So this doesn't look too neat to me anyway, but anyway, there it is, so that you have it. Okay, so the class is ready. Not much, but because as I said, I want to now show inheritance. Are we done, Bradley?
Yeah, I think so. But
okay.
Now it's giving me a red squiggly for the legal argument exception.
Did you forget your new?
Oh, no, I did not forget the new. So I don't understand what the error is.
I'll put this on Blackboard afterwards then. Bradley, I can't keep waiting for you to see what
I know. I was going to say that we could talk about a term break. So. Oh.
Spelling mistake of illegal. Legal, illegal, double L.
I thought I did that. Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Okay, so now let's create the child class of this. So this is no different from what you've done till now. Looks like, oh, what's new in it? Nothing. The newness will come when I start extending this class, and then we'll talk about, oh, shall we keep this private or can we make them public? Or is there any other way to do it? Okay, and then also I'll tell you why you've been seeing this. Remember, you've been seeing this from day one. Warnings. It always says overridable method call. I'll also explain this to you now. Now we'll talk about it. What does it mean? At that point of time, it wouldn't have. Okay, so now create a new class. Create a new class now. Call it, what did we call it? Base plus commission employee. So basically by the name itself, though names don't matter a lot, but by name itself, it says it's a base plus commission employee. So I'm going to say, oh, it's the same, it works the same way as the commission employee, base plus commission employee, right? It works the same way, but it has an extra earnings, and in the earnings, this person also has a fixed salary. That's all it has. The rest is all the same. The person has a name, the person has a social security number, makes some sales, has a commission rate, but on top of it, he also has, or she also has a fixed salary that this person will always get. Okay, it's so similar. So you'll say, oh, everything in the commission plus something. Why can't I use inheritance? Right? Here is a good example of where inheritance makes complete sense. So what do we do when we want to do inheritance? So let's start. Job number 1. My first job is that since this class is inheriting from the commission class, I have to go extends. And the name of the class, it is extending. So every class in Java extends from the object class for your information, right? So you put your public class and then kind of just go to the separate line and we'll see what it says. It says cannot be applied to given types. We'll wait, don't worry. So we'll complete it, but I have just creating a class. So this class has an extends clause in its definition, which you haven't seen till now. But for your information, though you don't do it, Java by default does this for you. It always does this for you. So you don't do it, but this is always done in your code, right? We don't, because that's the default. So you could if you like, but who wants to write extra stuff? But that's the default for every class in the Java API and every class that a programmer creates. Every class extends object. So object is always at the head. That means all the instance variables, it doesn't have any for your information, all the instance variables and all the methods in the object class you could use, right? You could just use them. So if you don't write your toString, there is a toString there, except that it may not do what you want it to do. But there is a toString there. There's an equals method there. What does it do? Compares the addresses of the two objects. Again, this may not what you want to do for your equals method, but there it is. Okay. And then there are some wait notify, which you use in threading, which you will do in your advanced Java. So those methods are available. So that's the default nature of every class. Now in Java, unlike some other languages, you can only extend from a single class. You cannot say extends this, comma, this, comma, this, comma, this. You cannot do it. You cannot in Java. There were some problems in other object-oriented programming languages with this more than one extensions. And so when Java was created, they kind of kept away from it. But they gave a different solution. You can implement, so you can extend from a class, but you can implement more than one interfaces. And interfaces behave, you can manipulate them to behave a little like classes, right? They have improved a lot. In Java, they added new features to interfaces, which is really great. But the multiple inheritance can be manipulated by extending from a class and implementing as many number of interfaces as you like. Okay, so that's done. But in Java, you can only say extends one class. You'll say, but now it is extending two. But keep in mind what it is doing. Base plus is extending commission. Commission is extending object. So you kind of get a hierarchy. But you don't say comma object here. You don't do that. Okay, you cannot. You can only extend from a single class. The hierarchy can be taken care of itself. Now, the instance variables in this class. So you will notice there are some red squigglies. Ignore them for a while, please. So now the instance variables of this class are the same, like a commission employee. Every base plus a commission employee has a name, has a social security number, has gross sales, and has commission rate. But now, by virtue of extending from the commission employee, I may not write them again. I get them from the commission employee, though I have to do a little change. Those are private there. So private means nobody, not even an object can see them. So how can another class or subclass see them? So we'll learn how to do that. Right now, I only need one more extra variable, and you can call it whatever you like. I'm going to call it salary. This person, this employee has 5 fields. Keep in mind, this employee, this object has 5 fields. 4 that are coming from its superclass, or maybe more if there were more superclasses. Plus, for now, 4 coming from its superclass, none from the object, and then 1 its own. So it has 5 of them. Okay. Now let's write the constructor. So let's go again. I'll do a little cheating just because it's just more to write. Go back here, go back here, go back here, base plus. And pass it another parameter, salary. Every class needs a constructor. So you'll say, oh my God, why 5 of them? There is only 1 instance variable. They're not 1 instance variables. There are 5 instance variables for this class because it has extended the commission, right? Now let's look at what can we do. So I'm writing a constructor, and the job of the constructor remains the same. It initializes the instance variables. But when you do extend, subclasses have to work a certain way. So everything gets inherited. All public or protected variables are inherited. All public methods are inherited, but a constructor is never inherited. You cannot inherit a constructor. And also static methods cannot be inherited. Why? Because static methods belong to a class. Final methods are not inherited because final methods again only belong to a class. So the constructor doesn't get inherited. Static methods from the superclass don't get inherited. You can use them, but you can't change them. Like you can't override them. Okay. So when I say not inherited, you can use it with the class name of the parent, but not with this class. And final methods are not inherited. These are not inherited. So we'll have to learn how to inherit them. Yes, that's how we do it, but it's not inherited. Yeah. You don't inherit it, you call it. You call it, right? So by default, it is not inherited, but what you do, and it is a must. The first statement in a call, in a constructor of a subclass has to be, the first instruction has to be a call to the constructor of the superclass, which means till now, though you have not been doing it, it is right here. The system does it for you. Whose constructor is it calling? The object class. It's automatically done for you. You don't have to write it, but this is inserted in every constructor that you've written till date as the first statement. And what is it? If you haven't written it, it will call the default constructor of the superclass. Default means the one without parameters. And object does have one, and that's what is called. Because you are extending from which class? You're extending, you're extending from which class? You're extending from the object class. So the object constructor is called. This is the constructor of the object class for your information. Is called. So you don't inherit it, but you can call it, right? The default constructor. And basically that's what happens. You haven't written it till date. And you don't write it and it will work. It's perfectly fine because it has been done for you. It has been done for you. So as you don't need the extends this, you don't need it, but it's there. Similarly, you don't need the super call, but it's there. You see?
Are your set rows and set permissions private?
No, they're all public. All the set methods are public. Okay, yeah, we'll talk about it in a minute. It's not an error, it's a warning. It's a yellow. Oh, it is a red squiggly? Where did you put it? In your class, in your permission class? Unreported exception. No, look at the error. The error is not that big of error. What does it say? It says unreported exception. It must be caught or declared. What did you throw on the? No, you said illegal, right?
I was doing as a creative exception.
No, that's not required. Yes, you're calling that you messed up. Yeah, this will be a problem. Yeah, this one is quite simple. Try saving it to a computer. Does it go away? If you have something else to put, no. Because the error is not anything else. Really, again, it's saying unreported exception. No, yeah, no, we don't do that. Why is this happening? What is it? That is different from me. Right, let's go down again to your set those sales. You haven't written two of them by any chance. No. It says don't use illegal admin exception. Let's look at this commission. What is it saying and why is it saying it? Because doesn't make sense at all. No, why should it say it's throwing an exception? Because you've just used illegal argument exception and it shouldn't. Like that's an unchecked exception. I don't know. Try typing it again. Though it's so silly. Like it's really. Did you make a mistake in the spelling?
No, I just deleted the letter and.
So there was a spelling mistake.
No, it was. I just.
So maybe some control character got. That's why I say sometimes retyping it will make it, because while you were typing, some control character came which was invisible, and that's why it's not recognizing. I usually say that if nothing else is making sense, and it works. See, it has worked. Okay, now let's come here. Let's come back here. So I'm going to make a super call, and I'm going to pass all these variables, the first 4 variables, to the super constructor. And I say, you take care of them. And it will, right? It will. What is it saying now? What is it saying? Oh, of course, we don't say string here. That's what it is saying. So pass the 4 variables that the superclass takes care of, and you're okay there. That's how. So constructors are not inherited, but you call the constructors to do your job. Okay. All the rest methods, you can just call them. For this, the special way is you go super. So super is a call to the constructor. So what have you said? You've said, you are my superclass, take care of these 4. You initialize these 4 because you are doing it. Why should I redo it? And the last one, you do it yourself. So if there is one extra one, you say set. I mean, we have to change it, but we'll say set salary and we'll go salary. And we'll do this. Now, keep in mind, so the set salary is not yet written, which we will, but that's the only one. So you can kind of quickly complete it. Public returns void is called set salary. We'll take a salary from you. And its job, again, we will always kind of, we'll do a normal if the salary is less than 0. I mean, you can go equal also if you want. We'll throw an illegal argument exception as we will just set it. Okay. So again, less than 0, less than equal to 0, whatever you would like to do. So you can't set it to a negative value or to 0. The equality is entirely up to you. I mean, to the application. So that's set salary. So see what you've done. By virtue of inheritance, you didn't have to do anything here, but of course, you have to say, super constructor, please help me. That's all you have to say. So the 4 initializations will be done there and 1 here. Now let's talk about something that will start making sense. These that you've been seeing from day 1, but I've kind of ignored them. Now I'll talk about it. Come on. Now I'll talk about them. Now, let me tell you what inheritance allows you to do, right? Inheritance will allow you to use a method or to override it. So, for example, out of the blue, right? Out of the blue, I'm going to override the method set name. I mean, I don't have to, but I'm going to, just for the heck of it. And I'm not going to do anything, but I'm just going to do a system out println here to show you something, okay? I'm going to say hello there. This is absolutely okay to do. And I'll put an override here because I'm overriding my parent class. Now, you don't have to even say override. It will automatically do it for you. But by saying add override, you kind of ensure that you don't change the signatures. And you also don't change the specifier. You can't make a public method private here. You can do that. Think of it logically. You can do that. You're saying this is the method my parent has. You can override it, but override rules are simple. The signatures remain the same. The return type, the parameters, and also the access specifier remains the same. You can't even do this. You can't even change it because logically, how can you say something has changed where it will be available? That's what access specifies. You even can do it. You can do this. Nothing stops you. But now see what the problem is. Okay. Now see what the problem is. So it's kind of foolish, but I want to show you the warnings, why those warnings are coming. Go to your inheritance again. Let's create another base plus commission employee. Let's call it base plus commission employee. Base plus commission employee. Right? Let's go the same thing that you did here. And I'll make some changes so that we can see it. We'll say base plus, right? And we'll just change it. So from Anju, let's go just Chawla or AP. Right. So I'll just go with my middle name also. Just to show you the difference. I'll just add a 6 here. I'll just make it 2000 so that you can see the two differences. And I'll just give them 15%. But it also requires a last parameter. I'll go 1000. Make sense? Right? Okay, now I'm going to do something. I'm going to do a system out println again. Now see a little few things. The base plus commission employee doesn't have a toString method. So whose toString method will it use? Parents. It will use it. I mean, it will say commission employee, but it can use it. 2, there was a set name there which was setting the name to the name I passed. Let's see what will be the name of this person. Anju K. Chawla. We are taking a print, right? What will it say? Run it and see what happens so that you see some inheritance. So, okay, it didn't do much. Didn't do much.
You got the same print command.
Oh, because I have the same you. Thank you. There it is. Because I have the same print command. At least I have to change the variable, right? See what happened to my name. So notice the first one is Anju Chawla, whatever, whatever, whatever. The second one has picked up the right values, but the name value is wrong. What has happened to my name? My Anju K. Chawla has lost its value. Let me explain why, so that you understand it. Please pay attention. This is important, right? You make a call to the super constructor, right? You go to the super constructor. You come to the super constructor. Super constructor says, set the name, right? Then it finds that there are 2 set names. One in itself, the set name, but it has been overridden in the child class, in the subclass. So since this call came from the subclass and it says set name and the set name was overridden, it went there and it should have said, do you see a hello world? There it is, hello there. Do you see the hello there? That proves to you that it has gone to the get name method of the second class. So what happened? Name didn't get a value. So what did name get? Null. Think about it again. The superclass and the subclass are related classes. The subclass is a child of the superclass. When you create an object, you call the super constructor. It is required. You call it. In the super constructor, there is a call to set the name. Now, when it tries to make set name, and this is happening at runtime, compile time, everything is okay. It finds a set name method. It's okay. This is called late binding or dynamic binding. When you go dot set, when you're calling set name, now it sees there is a set name in the commission class and there is a set name in the base plus commission class. And the constructor, which one is being executed? The one in the base class. It called the super, but that's the one that is being executed. So it went there, it said set name. Oh, this method has been overridden. The child does not want to use my method. So it is using its own method. It used it. It said hello there. Nothing got set. The name was null. Now let's say what's the problem here. Here is the problem. The set methods that you're trying to do can be overridden because they are just public methods. They can be overridden. And this overriding may cause problems like this. And if you were doing any data validation in the first one, we are doing it in gross sales, and I forget to do it in the second one, or I mess it up in the second one, I'm done. So what does Java recommend? So it's not an error, it's a warning. But what does Java recommend? Java says, if you're going to use the set methods for data validation, which you must use, so there are 2 options. It says, do the validation in the constructor itself. So start repeating code. So for this, write your if statement here also, do your validation here. Don't call the set method, use a normal assignment statement and let the set be separate also. It's okay. That's one option. I'm against it because it's copying of code. The second option is make your set method private. If you make it private, now the child class cannot use it. So where is the validation then? So what will happen then? Because once you make it private, then it cannot be used. So the solution is create a validation method in the class, make that method private and call it from the constructor and also from the set. Right? So see, here are the solutions. So you see why it was giving you these warnings from day one, because it is saying that you could override it in your child class. And when you override it, you can mess it up. And I have messed it up. Right? So don't do it. It is telling you not to do it. It won't say anything. It's up to you. Your name is null. That's fine. Go ahead and do it. But it is trying to recommend not to do it. So what is the solution? This is solution number 1. I'm against it, but this is solution number 1. You take your if statement from here. So you take this code and you repeat it here. Don't call the set method. Don't call it. Don't call it. Don't use it at all. I mean, it's a general method. Let it be there. Put it here. Now there is no problem. Yes, Tejbir.
What's the main motive to override that name again in subclass?
Foolishness. Sometimes just, as I said, you can't avoid it. So if you wrote it, you made a mistake and it's there and it's executed. Right? So avoid it. How do you avoid it is like this. So in your set, since methods can be overridden, it's a child class. And what is the motive? Maybe no motive at all, but maybe you made a mistake. And so it will come up. So why not be sure that even if mistakes are made, they're taken care of, right? So there may be no motive at all. There may be no motive at all. But sometimes mistakes can happen. You're writing a super class. You're not writing a subclass. I'm writing a subclass. I don't even know. I just write. Maybe when we combine, we have a problem and we say, oh, that's a mistake I made. So therefore, when you work, therefore Java doc comments and comments are so useful or necessary in code, so that people who are working together don't make silly mistakes like this. Okay. So this is one solution. Do you see the solution? Don't even call the set method in the constructor. Let the set constructor method be there. It will be used from outside the class or whatever, but don't call it here. Write your code here. That is one. I don't like it because it's copying of code. Because copying of code means what? Remember, anywhere there is duplication, you need to change something. Now I want to say, oh, gross sales can be less than 0, not be less than 10. I mean, it's not a good example. Less than 10 is a problem. I'll have to make a change here. I'll have to go and to the set method and make a change. So this is one solution. It's not wrong, but I don't think it is the best. Because copying of code is not what we want. We want reuse of code. Right? Reuse is okay. So what I prefer is, so I leave it here so that you can see it. I'm against it. What I prefer is this. I make a set method. You can put it anywhere. It is really not important. I'm putting it right here. I'm going to make a private, because private methods cannot be overridden. Private means only belongs to the class. I'm going to validate my gross sales in here. I'm going to write a private method right here. It takes a double. You can call it gross sales again, doesn't matter. And I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to paste it here. So this method, what is it saying now? What is it saying? Invalid method, return type required. Oh, okay. What is it returning? Void. There. Oops. I write a private method right here. It's a private method. And then what will I do? The set method will also call it, right? The set method will also call it validate. And the constructor can also call it. And I'm safe. I'm perfectly okay. Why? Because one, validation is done. I'm calling it from the constructor. It's a private method, cannot be overridden. Private methods cannot be overridden. Only public methods. Private means belongs to me, belongs to the class, right? Cannot be overridden. Plus, validation is being done. The validation code is only at one place. If I need to make changes, there is no duplication of code. And the set method also. So you can add an extra method. You say, oh, that's an extra method, that's extra code. But it's not duplicate code. You had written it twice, now I'm writing it once. I've just given it a name. This is how I would prefer to do it from a programmer's point of view. That's why you were seeing those warning signals. Now you won't see that. Yes?
But we can't make our set private.
No, if you make your set private, then when you call it from the base commission class, you can't use it. Try to make it private without doing these changes and see what will happen. Right? Try to make it private.
So this is going to be put on Blackboard.
The final code will be ultimately, right?
So we're going to make more changes to this.
Yes, definitely we are going to make more changes. I'm explaining things as I go and along.
Right.
That's the use of a class, right? I can put everything because I'm making changes. I'm okay, right? So notice I'm okay. Does it give you any warning signal in front of validate gross sales? No, because it's a private method, cannot be overridden. And I've done my job. My code is only at one place. Everything is okay now. I'm back to where I was. But the only difference, and an important difference I've done, is I've made a validation method in the code which is being called both from the constructor and from the set. You can still call the set actually. I mean, you'll say, oh, I like to call the set here. Call it. Even this will work. Because what is set doing? Set is further calling validate. But I mean, that's a two call. You are making two calls. So why do it, right? So why do it? So it's better. I mean, this is also not wrong. So you're calling set and set, but again, you will get that warning because set is a public method. So the best way is remove that and call a private method. Your job is done. Code is at one place. Any unintentional, no motivation, even if you change your set name or if you change your gross sales method, it will all still work. Everything will be fine. But yes, you have extra code. You have now, whenever you call set name, even if it has no validation, it is calling validate name. So maybe in methods like this, you can just do a straight assignment if you like. If there is no validation, they say make a straight one. Don't do it, right? So instead of this, now name doesn't have a validation. So all they say is then do this. So just go name is equal to name and go this dot name is equal to name. There. So where there is no validation, don't call the set method. Why? Because set methods are overridable. Overridable methods, for whatever reason, the subclass overrides it, and then there was a mess. You saw there was, right? It went to the other method and did it. So you don't do it. So this is now your solution. Your solution is, though we haven't been doing it, but you have to do it now. Your solution is you start using direct statements here, direct assignments here, and anytime you want to do validation, put it in a validate method and call it. So what will you do with your commission rate? Same thing. I'm going to write a validate commission rate. What will be in the validate commission rate? Can you say create one for me? You could do it in insert code. Logger equals override, add property, generate, add property. Oh no. Do you see something where I can say insert code? I was going to insert code somewhere else. Refactor, do you think? Rename, move, safely delete, change. Control enter. Alt enter. Oh, for seeing the no, I was, what Eclipse does is you can do a right click. So this method is not available. I know what the problem is. This method is not available. So alt enter will give me. Okay, thank you. Create method. Okay, thanks. Okay, so where is that validate now? Somewhere? Bottom. And what I'll do is I'll pick up the validation from the set from here. Oh, even this can be done. You can put this code and then you can call this method. I forget Eclipse, I know, and NetBeans, I'm still not very good at Eclipse. Sorry, NetBeans. And we'll call the validate here. And go to your end. And there. So I've written a validate commission rate method, right? It was much quicker in Eclipse. I'm sure there will be ways here, but I'm just, oh, now why is it saying, oh, brackets there. So now look at my, what doesn't it like? Come on, you delete yours. There, right? So now a few things different from how you've been writing your constructors before. We've kind of taken a step back from saying call the set methods. I'm doing it. I'm still doing it, but in an indirect way. This is still calling the set method if you kind of think about it, because now the set method code is in the validate, and that's a private method. It cannot be overridden. So now if you try to run, it will still use the name of this method. So let's go back. I'm getting some errors here. No, I'm not. Let's go back to the Java, run it, and you will notice that my name is correct. I'm fine now. Right? Though name didn't have any validation, but still I'm fine now. Right? So that was the reason of those warning symbols. Yes.
Just make sure.
Yes.
You are setting directly on the constructor.
This one is for variables that don't need any validation. I do a direct assignment statement.
Okay, but you are setting directly on the constructor. What problems with override?
The problem was with the override.
Okay.
So we don't call overridable methods in the constructor to be sure that changes are not made. That's why I'm doing this. Because in the previous one, it went to the get name of the other class. So it said my name was null. Because in there, the null was not given a value. So to avoid calling, it's not a rule, but it's highly recommended. Avoid calling overridable methods in the constructor. Right? So if you want to make a note for yourself, you can write it. so that you can remember. So say avoid. I can only say avoid because you can still do it. Overridable methods in the constructor, and it's basically recommended, I would say, right? Because you see, otherwise what will happen? Maybe there is no motivation, as Tejbir was saying. What is the motive? No motive at all. But if you make a mistake, then you're screwed up. You'll say, oh, what's, and then finding errors is a problem. I'm only working with very small code, so I'm okay. I know what the problem is. But when you're working on big projects and there's so much code, you're saying, what's going on? Where is the problem? What's happening? Why don't I see my name? So avoid it, and it's highly recommended, right? So I'm going to go with proper recommendations because it makes sense to me. So now you can override your set method if you like, which is perfectly fine. You want to do some kind of error checking here, which you will not, but at least it's not creating problems for when you create the object. Okay. So all methods, all public methods are overridable in the subclass. Private methods cannot be overridden. Now let's try to do something else. In the base class, if I say, just for the heck of it, just so that I can show it to you. We never do any printings in here. Suppose I want to say, oh, what's your name? Show me your name. And I say name is an instance variable of the class, and I should be able to do it. Bring your mouse over it. It says you can do that. Variables are like private methods are not overridable. You cannot use private variables of your class. So anytime you have to do that, you'll have to use the get method. Get is fine. Get is fine. There is a solution. You'll say, what if I want to use it? There are two solutions actually. The one solution is, which of course I wouldn't recommend at all, is make all your private variables public. Now that's going too much, right? That's actually killing the first principle of object-oriented programming, which says data hiding. Don't kill it, right? Don't kill it. It's not a rule, but it's, again, there are two sets of people. I'm on one side. I'm saying data should be hidden. Because if you can change data by just going in and changing it, the whole purpose of object-oriented is lost. There's a set method, change it. There's a get method, get it, right? So that's one solution. I'm not doing it. I don't like it. I am not doing it. The second solution is you can make these protected instead of private. This is your third specifier, which you haven't seen till now. What is a protected specifier? The class can, of course, use it. Any subclasses can also use it. And the package, any other class in the package can also use it, even if it is not a subclass. So any class in the package will also. So that means your tester can also use it. Your employee inheritance tester can also use it. So it's kind of between public and private. Public means open to all, accessible wherever you want. Wherever you can create an object of this class, you can create it anywhere. You can use the name. That's public. That's too much. Private says I'm only restricted inside my class. Even an object cannot use it. I'm only can be used inside, which is private. Between the two comes the protected access specifier, and protected says I'm kind of making a balance. And the balance is this. The class where you declare can use it, of course. The subclasses or to any level, subclass or subclasses, any in the hierarchy can use it because as I said, it can be a hierarchy. So you can have as many number of parents and grandparents. So anywhere in the subclass hierarchy, you can use it as long as a class is extending from this class directly or indirectly. But a third thing is also possible. Any class in the package can also use it, even if it is not related to this particular. Difference. Public can be used not only in the package, wherever you can import it also. Public means to the world, right? Public means to the world. Package means to the package. So you can't use it outside the package. So it is a little better than public and kind of gives you more than a private, but it is still not the best. It is still not the best because it still has that package access. So even protected is not used, but you should know about it. You should know about it. You say, I won't have any other class in my package. I won't have any extra class. But you see, in Java, there are so many packages. Java.lang is a package, and there are so many classes in that package. Every class, if they start using instance variables of another class, you're gone. You're lost. So you are okay. If you're writing an application, it's not too bad. But think about your class. You become a good programmer, and your class goes into a package in the Java library. If it goes to a package, all other classes in that package can also use it. So we will stick to private. We'll stick to private. But there are, so public is out, absolutely out. We don't even want to talk about it. I'll give you a break in 1 minute. So public is out, protected, half kind of. I would keep away from it just for the simple reason that because it gives package access. I'm fine with subclasses, but I don't like the package access. And logically, why should you give package access? Because package access means any class in the package can use it. So we will stick to private. We will create getters and setters as and when if required. We will make those methods public so that they can be used outside the class. So we'll stick. But now you know there is protected also. So private instance variables and private methods cannot be inherited. Constructor cannot be inherited. A static method of the class cannot be inherited. Like all you can do is call it with this. You call it with the class dot name. So like where comes inheritance? You can call it wherever. You know what I mean? If it is public. But again, private's nothing. Final methods cannot be overridden. You cannot override a final method. You cannot. And just so that you know, final classes cannot be extended. String is a final class. You cannot extend string. You can extend exception, but you cannot extend string. Whoever has written the string class says, nobody, I have written the best. Nobody can extend. Though somebody may say, oh, I want all that functionality, but I want to add something more. And when I tried to read about it, the only thing they said was for security reasons. So I'm not sure what security reasons are they talking about. Like something to do with runtime, I'm not so sure. So I'll back out. But final classes cannot be extended. We'll stop here. We'll take a 20-minute break. We'll come back and then we'll complete the rest. Okay. And then once you have the knack of it, then we'll kind of start doing the diagram. Okay. I have an error in this. Oh, because this was, you can't do this. So we'll have to remove this. You can't do this because it was a private variable. In the constructor, there.
So since you're obviously going to use this as a lunch break, maybe after class, just let me know when you're posting all the stuff up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Before I
it.
come, I'll post it. Remind me, okay? When I come back after the break, remind me and you put this on Blackboard and I'll do it for you. Okay?
That's great, because the only thing missing now is the validating.
Okay. Set salary? Extends. There it is.
Yeah. Mine is 4 days. 4 days. 12 hours.
Do they have something else with set salary?
No, nothing yet. In this method, in base plus, no, not yet. We have to write a get and then we have to write get earnings also. But nothing after set right now, no. Set name I had written, but I'll remove it. I had written set name to show you that I can override it, but nothing in this, nothing after set salary yet. Are you done? Yana? Are you done? Okay.
I think we put object first, so maybe never.
Okay. Oh, shoot, it's Thursday. I've placed it on Blackboard, Bradley. For now, it's called 2-level. We are doing the 2-level and then we'll do the other one, okay? Under, oh, you know what? I think it has gone under the wrong one. It's Tuesday today. Give me a minute. I'll copy it, move it. Okay, it's under your Tuesday now.
typing in the validate code syntax, but I'm getting two red square clicks. One on the
Let's change. You take my code and then you try to make mistakes, right?
yes. So the first one is here in the constructor. It says cannot find symbol.
Yes, you cannot find it. Cannot find symbol means you don't have it. You must have misspelled it or something. It's not here very creative. Very creative.
Wait,
This is my code.
yeah, I've added the things, I've read the proper auto things. No, so let me just, okay, so.
Mine is running, cannot be wrong, right?
Mhm.
Come down, pick up my validate commission rate. Where is it?
Okay, so here's the first line of red square.
Beginning of the lesson.
It's saying I can't find it. That means it's not in your code. Come back to your code. Know how to look at your error source. Go to that method. And if you can't do an alt enter, maybe help will be good for you. It says create this method. Do you have this method? I have it in my code. Do you have it?
I thought I had it already.
Where is it? It says you don't have it. That was called validate gross sales. There are two different methods.
So I have to create two more methods.
One more method. Not six. One more method. Validate commission rate is missing. So it has now created one at the end. Come down. Which is empty. You have to fill it. I have this code. You're missing that. When it says it's missing, it means you have to get it. You have to put it there. Here, I have it at the end of my code. If you don't have it, please. Yeah.
Was in between gross sales and the set gross sales.
Put it wherever. Does it matter where you put it? No, it doesn't. It really doesn't matter. You can put your code anywhere you want, as long as it is in the class definition. Are we ready? Let's come back and start doing this, please, then. We have a set salary method. Please write a get method. Complete your base plus commission class, please. Your getters, any new variables that you add, your getters and setters, you have to add them if you need them, of course. Right, and then I have the toString which I will overwrite. So the other toString works, but it doesn't show the salary. So I'm going to override it and I'm going to add salary to it. Again, I can use what is available and then add my own. Okay, that helps. So I'm going to override the toString method. Returns a string. Now the problem we had put the commission employee name, like we had put the heading there. So maybe we'll have to do something about the heading because we don't want the heading. We don't want the heading there. Oh, well, okay. So I've added another get salary method to my class because we have a set and get. That's the new instance variable that my class had. And in the toString method, I'm going to override it. So remember, the annotation to override is not required, but is highly recommended because then it checks your signatures and sees that you followed the signatures correctly. The name is right. The parameters are right. Everything is okay. And please also keep in mind when you, new student, when you override a method in a class, then you can change its access specifier. You can make it more restrictive. So you can go from a public to a private or a private to a public. You can go from private to public. Let's see the opposite. I don't think you can. Though logically, yeah, you can either way. Going from a public to private is of course going big to small. So that definitely can be done. I was hoping maybe the other one is allowed. Is it giving that error or is it saying something else? toString cannot override. Yeah, you cannot. You cannot give it weaker or stronger. You cannot. So you have to leave it the same. Okay, right now what should you do? You again have to return something, but you have some part already coming from there, except that you know what I'll do, because I gave the name here, commission employee, and that will kind of create a problem for me in the sense I'm going to remove the first heading where it says commission employee, because this one is not a commission employee, this is a base plus commission employee. So I don't want the two headings, just to make it neater, you know, I mean, just to kind of put more work into it. I'm not going to give it a heading there, okay? I'm going to remove it. I've removed the heading and therefore I'll remove the first %s. So I've removed the commission employee heading from there, and I've also removed the %s because I don't want it anymore now. Okay. So just so that it doesn't come, otherwise the base employee will also be called commission employee. In which in this class, but then what will the same heading will appear in the other class also. But how will you remove it? Because I want to call this toString there. That's why I'm removing it. I mean, we'll have to think of some way of giving a heading, but I'll remove it from the toString for now so that I can use it. If you give it here and that calls it, it will also show that heading. Then it will show two headings. We could do something like commission employee and base employee, something like that, but I'm just removing it because it's not that important. So from here, I've removed the word commission employee altogether. I'm just showing the name, the social security number. And again, if you've understood this percentage 30s and so on, and they were not so neat, then you can remove them. But I'll leave them for now. In the next one, I'll start paying more attention. Okay, so what do I do now here? I still have to return something. I'm going to say string.format, and look at what I'm going to do. From your %s, the first %s, replace it by super.toString. There. So we'll put in more parameters, but what is happening? I'm going to call the super.toString method. So remember, super is again called, super means what? Call the method of my super class. So that's how you call it. It's not a static method, so you can't call it with the class name. So you go super.string, and now what do you want to add? Go to a new line and add, this person had a salary, right? What is the extra? This person had salary, that's all. So we have gross sales, we have commission rate. We are still on the same line. Start with a new line and %f. Maybe don't even give a new line if you don't want to. We can see how it looks. Or if you want to go to a new line, you can go %n and then %.2f for the salary, and get your salary. Get salary. Oh, come on. Something is wrong with my mouse these days. There. So another use of the super keyword. Definitely you need it in the constructor, but there is another use. If you want to call a method of the super class, just go super dot the name of the method. And this is inheritance. See how code is being reused. I'm not copying and pasting, nothing. I'm reusing code. And that's what object-oriented programming is all about. Vastly different from procedural programming, right? This says I'm creating a class definition, and you can use that class definition wherever you want by using the methods. And to it, I'm adding inheritance now. That means code is already defined for a class, and I can use it by going super dot and call the method, right? So inheritance is a very strong feature of object-oriented programming. So therefore, I didn't copy and paste code. I created a new method called validate. I wanted to keep with that no copying code kind of stuff. Reuse is fine. So I created a validate and put my code that I wanted to validate in there and called it from the constructor and also from the set method. So try to follow principles, and you'll always come up with a good design and a good code. Keep in mind, this has to be maintained. So if you don't start right, maintenance is high. If you start right, your design is good, everything is good, your maintenance is low. Robust programs, good created programs will always be good to maintain, easier to maintain. Okay, so all I did here was I added a get salary, a new method for this class, and overridden the toString method was overridden, bless you, in which I'm still calling the toString method of my parent class, and I've added get salary to. Just let's see how it looks, okay? Because we have a tester, we'll see how it looks. Then we can kind of decide. Maybe we need a tab or something, I don't know, we can decide. So running after we run it, and build was successful. So this is coming from the first one. It doesn't have a heading now, so we have to guess, okay? It doesn't have a heading, and this is what coming from the second one. Oh, it doesn't have a heading. I have to say salary. Salary is missing, and there is an extra bracket here. We can put a percentage also, just the percentage, because commission rate is 0.25%. What does 0.25 mean? I'm saying it's a value between 0 and 1. So 25%, that becomes 25%, right? If I'm saying between 0 and 1. Oh, I would like to show that in a better way. Doesn't look too good, right? Doesn't look too good. Okay, so let's make it a little change. It's not a big deal at all. This is all you have to do. So when you see output, it will say, that doesn't look too neat. Okay, so what do we have to do? In the last one, this was my commission rate. Let's multiply this by 100. Right, let's multiply this by 100 and let's put a percentage sign after it. To put a percentage sign, go percentage twice. It will put a percentage sign. Now it will say 25%, which looks neater, right? So that was 1. That was 1. This, and there is an extra bracket here. That extra bracket is coming from where? Oh, from here, right? No. Yep, right from here. I have an extra bracket right there. It's being highlighted. There it is. There is where this extra bracket is coming from. So that will look odd. So when I say, so if you don't want a 0.2f, you want to show it as an integer, no, we'll keep the 0.2f. What if it is something else like 0.1? No, it will always be an integer when I multiply by 100 because it's 25%. The value is between 0 and 1. If I make it 3, then it will be at 25.5%. Okay, we'll keep the 0.2f. That's one taken care of. The second thing I missed was this didn't have a heading. So let's put a heading here. So before this, let's put a heading. Percentage 30S, I think we are going, right? And let's put a heading here. Let's say salary. And I've been doing this. And a comma. There it is. So this is the super.toString. Then goes to a new line, though I don't need to. You could have done a percentage T also, \T. We'll see how that looks. And then in 30 again, so it will again give you 30 spaces. Get salary. Let's run it again. Here, I've added it to the same line. Right? So if you don't go to a new line, you can add it to the same line. The 30 was just to show you something. If you don't want it, just remove it. Right? At least now you know what it is. So as and when I remember things, I'll kind of do it. We haven't done this before. We've done with the F, but never with an S. So now you know that you can give a size. You can give a size to any field you want. I could have said 8.2F. 8 gives you the total size. With percentage D, I can go percentage 10D. It says give me 10 columns for it. That's what this number says. Okay, we've only used 0.2F because we were interested in how many places after the decimal. You could also say 8.2F. It will give you a total space of 8 columns. And the minus and the plus also now you know. In strings, it is doing the plus is the default, keeps to the right, and blanks in the front. If you want to do the opposite, go with the opposite. Okay, whatever is neat, you can work that way. Okay, so that's taken care of this. So now we at least have some idea of what inheritance is. So we've used super. We've override a method. We've done overriding here of the toString method. Constructors cannot be inherited. You have to call them by going super. Anytime you want to call a super method, you can just say super and give the name of the method. You can override methods. You can add new methods if you want. I added a new method. It could have been any other method. But now, what about earnings? Are the earnings, which I haven't shown actually, I should show the earnings also. How will I know if the answer is right? I should be showing earnings also. So let's do it. Let's go to your commission guy back and let's add the earnings also. Okay, so the earnings were, let's go to a new line, percentage N, and let's go percentage 30S for earnings. And then again, percentage 0.2F to show the answer. Okay, and add what here? Add earnings here, or take home salary, whatever you want to call it. I'm just calling it earnings because that's what we've called it. And then get earnings. Okay, there. So I've added 2 more. I've added earnings to my super. Of course, it will show up in both. But the problem is something else. The problem is not the problem because we haven't yet taken care of it. There are your earnings, $250. 25% of your sales. And this guy also has only $300 because he has 15% of his 200. But what about his salary? Poor guy. We said he would have a base salary also. We haven't added that. So what should I do? What do you think I can do? Override it. Override your get earnings method here. Override it. You want to make a change. So remember, overriding is making a change. Okay. So it's again public. Let's call it get earnings. Of course. Otherwise, why would I use it? Oh, come on. Wasn't it called get earnings? No suggestions. What was it? What was the method called? Yeah, there it is, get earnings. There it is. There it is. Okay, now what do you want to do in here? You want to get, that math is still the same, multiplying gross sales by whatever. But to that, you want to add what? You want to add salary. So what should you do? You should say return. Let's use get salary, just because I've been using it everywhere. And this is a double. So get the salary, add to it the salary that is coming from your superclass. There. Another way of inheriting. I didn't even repeat my formula. I could have, but I said that part of the salary is already being taken care of by the super method. I'll just add salary to it and my work is done. Of course, if it was a completely new definition, then I would have given it a new definition, but I don't have to here. You could. There's nothing wrong in it. But use inheritance. That's our main purpose, to use it. Right? So use it. Okay, so you could do it this way. And now it will be $1,000 will be added. So 1,300 should be my answer. There it is, 1,300. So it's gone to a new line because I told it to go to a new line. Okay. Therefore, I put a percentage n there, and therefore your salary is coming with your get earnings. So this salary is different from earnings. Salary was the base salary. You can call it base salary if you want. You can call it base salary if you want. Nothing stops you. This was the base salary. Earnings is total, right? So when you plan out inheritance, you also have to plan out your outputs because they have to look neat. So mine, the only thing which is missing in mine is the name of the employee. Which, you know what, I'll try to put it when I create my abstract class. Yes.
So in this case, for earnings, you are not overriding because you're getting from the other class, right?
I'm come again.
You're using the super.
Yes. So I'm calling it. Exactly. I'm calling it, getting the multiplication from there. Remember, this person has two things. So I'm getting this code I'm getting from there. Plus, I'm adding the base salary and I'm showing that's your output. That's what a base plus commission employee gets. Base salary plus the commission rate on the sales that the person has made. Right? Yes.
Can you resume the live, like the stream?
Can I do what?
Resume the recording?
Oh, is it gone?
Like it's just stuck on the one thing, I think.
But here I'm okay. I don't know. You can. Was it okay till the break?
Oh, it crashed. Yeah, it was just mine.
Oh, okay. And you're seeing my screen, not my face today, right?
Yeah.
Because last Tuesday, I got an email saying both my classes have been recorded with my face. Like, that's bad, right?
Yeah.
The Tuesday and the Thursday. I don't know how it happened. I have no clue. Like, I did nothing. Of course, I must have done something, but I can recollect. And both my Java classes have gone that way. I'm sorry about that, but can't do much about it now. Yes, Bradley?
Did we also add a percentage or a syntax to the string format?
Yes, we did. And you have to be really quick with this because these are small things and I can't get stuck on it, right? I added a percentage after the F. Yeah, so these small things you can ignore if you like, because it's difficult to keep up with these small things. But this will come on Blackboard, so you'll see them afterwards, okay? So I've done this and I've done this, and what I've also done is, since Bradley wanted it, and I'll refresh it now, I have on your Tuesday section, I've called it, I gave it a two-level employee inheritance. So I've only given 2 levels. When I write the complete one, then I'll call it the employee inheritance. Okay, so that you have this code, because I'll be replacing it now. I mean, I won't create a new one. So the commission employee, I'll overwrite it so that you have the latest. So, except that I'm in the wrong one, but that's okay. You don't have to worry about that. Which one was this one? Commission. The base plus, I have made a change. I hope I haven't put the wrong file into it. And you know what? I should have done it using GitHub right from day one. You could have got used to it. I do it in my other semester. I just don't do it here. I didn't do it here. Okay, there. So everything that we've done till date is now on Blackboard. So is it making sense now? So we know the rules of inheritance also. We know how to call constructors, how to call super methods, how to override methods. I showed you the get name also, which you wouldn't like to, but you can override those methods also, right? I mean, if you have to do that. Then we talked about private, protected, and public access. So protected was new for you. So it is basically class, subclasses, and the package. That's protected. We kind of said we wouldn't even like to do that because it gives you more access than what you want. It gives you package access. So I kind of stuck with private. So I have my getters and setters. Now we know why we should not call the setters in the constructor, because those methods are overridable. So I showed you how things will not work correctly if you make a mistake. And finding errors is a big job. It's better to do it right, then the chances of getting errors is less. That takes care of inheritance at one level. But now going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the class, let's try to start doing this. Now I have a salaried employee and an hourly employee also who are not related to commission employee at all. You'll say, yeah, they are. They have the same name. They may not have gross sales and commission, but they have a salary. The hourly employee has the hourly rate, and the weekly salary will be calculated, and they have a wage and how many hours they work. So there are a few differences, mostly with what their salary is, but the other attributes are same. They have a name, they have a social security number, they have an employee ID, they have a date of hire, so on and so forth. All those attributes are same. So can we change our model to accommodate more employees, which can happen? So I've only gone one just because I wanted you to understand inheritance. Now I'm kind of expanding it, right? I say, yes, I can do that. If I wanted to include salaried employee and hourly employee in the current project with the current picture I have, the model I have, it's difficult. I don't want them to extend from commission employee, because commission employee is a little different in terms of other things, gross sales, commission, and these employees don't even need it. So I say, let's go one level higher. Why don't I create an employee class from which salaried, commission, and hourly employee extend? And then further, if required, I can create a base plus that extends from the commission, and you can do whatever you like to any levels you like. You'll say, yeah, that makes sense. But then now the question comes that, can I make the design a little more better in the sense, for now, commission employee had a salary and earnings, and all I had to do was add to it. But a salaried employee and an hourly employee have no connection at all with the salary of how it is calculated in commission. So if I could say that there will be a get earnings method, but it will be implemented in different classes on its own, then maybe I can leave it empty in my employee class and force the subclasses to override it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create an employee class in which I'll put all the common attributes that I think every employee must have, and then make more specific classes as I go on. So if you kind of think of it, the employee class will be a general class, and as I go down the hierarchy, I become more specific. It has more code, but it is not more general, it is more specific. So the code increases, the number of instance variables, more code, and so on, it increases. So the classes become larger in size, but their definition becomes narrower. It becomes more specific. So you're going from generic to specific as you go down the hierarchy tree. But your code, of course, will increase. Most probably will increase because you're adding more to it. So calculator, think of a calculator. Long time, many years back, we only had the simple calculator. From the simple calculator, a new calculator called scientific calculator was created. So it's an extension, right? From the scientific, you also have a statistics calculator. which is again an extension of your scientific. There is an engineering calculator. There is another extension of your calculator. So this normal calculator had the basic functions, addition, multiplication, division, and so on. And then as more capabilities and functionality was required, more classes were created. And there is where inheritance comes into picture. Yes, Brad?
And prior to the calculators, there was also the abacus.
Oh, right. But it was a calculator, a simple one, right?
Oh.
It was a simple calculator. It does its simple operations. Okay. So we need, so inheritance will come into picture many a times, but there is a fine line between thinking, do I need to do composition or do I need to do inheritance? So now, having looked at this picture, the current model will not work because neither salaried employed nor hourly employed are children of commission. They're not. You could say they have a name and they're SIN, but you know what? What about earnings? And I'm only thinking of one small thing, earnings. There could be many more methods. Now, for example, hourly employee will work for number of hours. Has nothing to do with commission employee who's working on sales, right? And the salaried employee has a salary, has nothing to do with commission or weekly hours. So they're kind of related, but not, they can be extended from each other, is what I mean. So since they are related and they have a common base class, I could create a common base class called employee and then extend from that class and extend further if I require and further if I require and so on, right? Having said that, let's create this model now. So inheritance rules hopefully are clear. If they're not, I'll keep repeating them. Specifiers, constructors, final methods, static methods, you all have to keep that in mind. Protected, private, and so on. You could use protected, nothing stops you. If you know that this application is only bound in this organization, it will never go out of this organization. You will say, you know what, I just make them protected. And protected, then you don't have to write your setters at all, you can use them. Protected just means they're more than public, but less than private in terms of their use, okay? Now, the two classes that you downloaded, now bring them in. Bring only the employee one first because I want to do the other one myself. So get your employee class and paste it into your project, into your package. And the only thing you may have to change is maybe the package statement. So take your package statement from here, open your employee class. So this is the employee class that was available on Blackboard and copy it. There it is. Now let's look at this class and let's look at something new that I've done in class. The word called abstract in my class definition, right? It is the English word abstract, and abstract means, this is what it means. It means this class has at least one abstract method. You'll say, then what's an abstract method? An abstract method is one that has no implementation. It just has a name, it just has signatures, no implementation. There is no body with it, not even opening and closing brackets, because that becomes a body. It doesn't have an implementation. So what are we trying to do with an abstract class? An abstract class gives you a general definition of those attributes and those methods that are common in all the employees. For example, in mine. So name, social security number will go in here because every employee needs it. There will be a toString method. Every employee needs it and we will override it. There is a toEarnings method, but that method won't have an implementation because every class will implement it. The setters and getters of name and social security number can go in here. So an abstract class is a class that cannot be instantiated. You cannot create an object of this class. Why? Because it has a method that doesn't have an implementation. So it cannot be. So an abstract class, like the word abstract in English, simply means it is a definition, just a definition. And it is abstract in nature because it has not implemented or given definitions to all its methods. Okay? One or more, doesn't matter, but at least one. And the purpose of it is, again, putting the commonality of its subclasses into one, kind of creating a picture of this is what it will look like, and then the individual classes implement it. Okay? So an abstract class in Java has the keyword abstract before the keyword class. This class cannot be instantiated. You cannot create a class object of this class. Its whole purpose solely is to define something that will be further extended. That's all. That's its sole purpose, right? But a very important purpose, because again, you're putting everything that's common into one so that you don't have to repeat this code in all classes that extend from it, and then you can use it. Okay. Okay, having said that, now let's look at what can I put in my employee class. What have I done? So keep in mind, this class extends object. We don't ever do it, but it automatically extends object. So since every employee will have a name and every employee will have a social security number, I've added those two instance variables here. The other common ones could have come here now. What? ID. Employee ID could have come here. Hire date, if there was. I don't know about people who work on hourly basis. Do they ever keep a hire date? I'm not sure, but hire date could come here, right? Years of experience could come here. So anything that is common in all the employees could all be put here. All setters and getters can be put here. The constructor, the toString method can be put here. So commonality comes here. This is on Blackboard, yes. This is on Blackboard under weekly learning, general weekly learning. So pick up only the employee first, don't pick up the commission, because we want to discuss this and I'll make the changes in commission with you so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay. So is that fine? So I have two instance variables. I have a constructor, and notice how in the constructor I've used my this now. I've done an assignment right here, and there is no data validation anyway. So even if you had set methods, it was not a big deal. You could put it because but again, we are using that rule that we won't use set methods. Even if there is a set method, we won't use it because it is overridable, and overridable can create problems. So you can, it doesn't say, oh, you don't want to use it. I still have a set name. See, it's right here, but I just don't call it. I just don't call it because, so the set, if you don't call it, doesn't mean you cannot have it. Maybe from outside, somebody wants to change the name. But again, usually your name will be final. You won't change it. So you've learned final variables before, right? Similarly with social security number, it doesn't change. You know what I mean? So if you like, you could actually make them final because it makes more sense. You can make them final, and then you can't even have set methods. Name cannot change and social security number cannot change. It would be a better design. So going with that design, name still, can change. I've seen people changing name, but social security number definitely cannot change. So if you want to make that final, we can make that final. And anything that's final cannot have a set method. So this will start giving you problems. So remove it. So do that with me just because we are talking about it, right? And again, if you say, oh, name cannot change, then you'll have to make that final too. You cannot have a set method and you will just be using this. But people do change their name for whatever reasons. I mean, that's not as if it cannot happen, but social security number of an employee will not change. You shouldn't have a set method to change. You'll say, what if I made a typo? Throw the object, create a new one. Is what can be done, right? Yes. Just to show you that by default it's there. I have commented it out. You can still put it. Nothing. It won't complain. It's perfectly right.
If we put it there, what
No, nothing. It won't say anything. You're fine.
what would it mean?
It would mean that it is calling the object's constructor. Every class extends object by default. Every class by default extends object. So you could put super if you like, even without putting this. Why? Because who's the super class of employee? Object. We haven't done it till now because object is a class. Do you remember I showed to you? Maybe you want, no, you were always here. I've shown the object class to you. So if you it's a class. If you go to, maybe with the other section, I can't remember. We'll just go to this. It's a class. It has one constructor, the empty one, and it has a few methods: clone, making a copy, checking two methods, two objects are equal, getting a class of a particular method. These are the methods in the object class. And you can use them wherever you want without even overriding them, except here is a toString. What does the toString do? The toString gives you the hash code where the object is saved in memory, kind of memory. So that's what you override. When you say add override, you are overriding the toString method of the object class. And when you say override equals, remember you've done it in the product class, you're doing the same thing. Every class by default extends object. It's the default nature, okay? And therefore, if you want, I mean, it's not a want, it's just, if it confuses you, remove it. But you can do this. And you can even do this. You can even do this, or either, or neither. It's there if you don't do it or do it, okay? So normal one, I have an employee constructor. I use the normal assignment statements. I'm away from set now. If I don't need validation, then I won't even write private validate methods. Doesn't make sense. I have a get name. I do have a set name, but I'm not using, I should not be calling it in the constructor. I have the get social security number. I don't have a set anymore because I've assumed it will not be changed. And I have a toString, and in the toString, again, I did a little bit of things here. I did with 25, but again, you can leave it if you like. If it kind of irritates you, remove it, right? If you don't like it, you can remove your 25s if you want. This was just to show you. So that's your name. That's going to a new line. We can use percentage here. So it's up to you. I leave it to you. But I thought I would just show it to you. So now it will just, all it will say is employee name, and you can put it in as a heading, and then you can say social security number, put it as a heading. So this is what we are doing. One piece of information per line is what I've done. So we'll maintain that in all our classes, okay? We'll maintain it in all our classes. Always start with a percentage, and that way you're safe to start from a new line. Okay, so I have used my get methods here, and one important thing that you've never seen before, look at this line. All this line says is, there is a method called get earnings. Notice no opening closing brackets. It just has a semicolon after the signatures. This method is abstract. It doesn't have a definition. It doesn't. Because it doesn't have a definition, you have to put abstract in front of it. Because the class has at least one abstract method, you have to make your class abstract. You cannot create objects of this class. The sole purpose of this class is to act like the grandmother, right? That's all its sole purpose is. Why? Because now I can put the commonality here. It has kind of given me a definition, a base to start with, and then I can create subclasses of this class. So you have a base now. You have a foundation, right? We'll say extends, and I'm done. So you can extend a class, you can extend an abstract class, but you cannot instantiate an abstract class. You can extend it. There's no problem in extending. What is it saying? Extended says, I will use whatever you have. I will override the get earnings method and any more methods, but it has to override it. Otherwise, if it doesn't, then that class also has to be an abstract class. So anytime there is at least one abstract method in a class, the class has to be abstract. And a class that is abstract is solely used for inheritance purposes, because you cannot create objects of an abstract class. It can be extended, but it cannot be instantiated, right? And this is what an abstract method is, one without a body. So this is not abstract. Please don't, this is not abstract. This is not an abstract class. It has a body. You can even, you'll say, oh, I didn't put anything in the body, but no, that's not. This is an abstract method. That it is. No implementation. I implement it for the sole reason that each class that will extend will have its own way of creating earnings. The salaried employee, nothing, return salary. The weekly one, number of days worked, number of hours worked into wage per hour. Commission one, commission rate multiplied by gross sales. And the last base one, since it will be a child of commission, commission salary, commissions plus the salary. So therefore I've said leave it. It makes no sense implementing it here because it doesn't have a concrete one definition that will work for everybody. So I leave it empty, but I make a rule. The rule is this. How have I made the rule? Any class that extends from this class has to override it. Has to. So rule is made. Nobody can forget it. If you forget, then that's not a concrete class. That's again an abstract class. So my employee class is ready. Right? Right? Now we will extend from this. So now open your commission employee. And now work with me and see what will I do. The first thing I'll do is I'll say extends. Who will it extend? Employee. As soon as it extends employee, what don't I need? These two. Gone? Right? I say extends employee, I already have it. It will take 4 parameters, but what will it do? It will call its super constructor and pass name and social security number to the super constructor. and it will do the next two itself. Right? It's not needed here at all. It says, super, you do that job. That's your job. You do it. I won't do it anymore. Okay. Now, I don't need a get name. I don't need a set name. They're already in my parent class. I don't need a get social security number because it's already in my parent class. Right? The set anyway we had removed because remember it was now a final variable. It will need the get gross sales because that's its variable. So notice I'm reducing code. How quickly my code has gone to half. And that's fine because it's available just in a different way. So again, if I'm too fast, we'll go back. The first thing I did was I removed the two variables, name and social security number. They're gone from my instance variables. Job number one. The signatures of the constructor remain the same, but the constructor code has changed. I make a call to the super constructor of the employee. That's what super is now. Okay. And I say, that's your name. And I pass the two parameters in the same sequence that it wants. Then I create the gross sales and the commission rate are set by this class because there are variables of this class. So again, I'm not using set methods. I'm using, why is it showing me a warning symbol here? Oh, no. Okay. Right. I don't use the sets here. I should not. I'm not. You could, but I will not. And I hope you will not too, because that's how we are kind of thinking that way. I have the get, I have the validate, I have the set for gross sales, same three for commission. Get the rate, set the rate, and validate the rate. Validate methods are private. Otherwise, I'm back to square one. What's the sense of creating a public validate and the constructor is calling it again, right? And now, for whatever reason, try to remove the get earnings. For a minute, just try to remove it. As soon as you remove get earnings, notice you will have an error. It says commission employee is not abstract, but it does not override the abstract method. So you've missed something. It tells you you have extended from employee and you have not overridden the method. So either this class has to be abstract again, which it can be. You can have as many number of abstract classes as you want, or implement it. So implement it. And this is how it is implemented. So to be sure that we don't make any mistakes, we'll write an override here. Now this is a concrete class. Such classes are called concrete. So since till now we hadn't heard of abstract, we just called it a class. But now differentiate between an abstract class and a concrete class. Right? Let's look at its toString. Now we can reduce all this stuff. Some is coming from, okay, so till where? See, now it is difficult. So it's better that I just do it. Okay, let's do this. Start your string. The first %s, oh, it already has a %n. So we are okay, we are safe. The first %s is coming from your super call, super.toString. That's my first S, okay? First %s. After that, what do we want to do? What did we have? We had name. Oh, we are putting everything in a new line now. So it's easy. %n, and then we want to show what? Gross sales, and then we want to show gross sales, get them. So go to a new line, the %s for the heading gross sales, and then the value, the gross sales. Again, go to a new line. So I've stopped my minuses and pluses, okay? Again, go to a new line. The heading commission sales is this commission rate, and then the value of commission rate. Oh, we had done that math with it. What was that math? Oh, that's already here. So we are okay. %.2f and a percentage for the percentage sign. Go to a new line and then a %s for earnings, and now a %.2f for your earnings. There it is. So that's super toString. Call the super constructor. I don't know if it went to a new line. Where did it go? So maybe, yeah, that's okay. We are fine. Then go to a new line. Show me the heading gross sales and its value. right? Percentage as percentage point to F, gross sales and its value. Then go to a new line. Again, show me the heading commission rate and its value with the percentage sign. And then go to a new line. And then again, show me earnings with the new one. Right? And it should look okay. I've converted it into 100. So it will say 25% or whatever. Since, and my commission is ready. My commission class is ready. It's done. Now I have to make, do I have to make any changes in my base class? Let's see. So the base class was inheriting from this class. Now this class is inheriting further, which is okay. Does base have anything to do with it? No, base still remains the same. Why? What does it do? Go to your base class now. So let's save this. And now let's go to base class. Okay, now it is extending commission employee, perfectly fine. It has added a new variable salary. We are okay with it. It is calling its super constructor. And that's what we want to do because it will automatically call its super. I have two new variables, the set salary. We won't call this. So here we'll have to do something. We'll have to write a private validate salary method. We'll say, what if this class will not be extended? Now onwards, we will assume any class can be extended. We don't know whether it will be extended or not. So we'll just go the right way. And what will you do in this class? You will take this if salary from here and put it here in the validate. And then this one only calls validate. Oh, validate returns no value. So call the validate. What doesn't it like? Identifier expected. Oh, here, salary. What is it? Double. And then call it from here. Call it from your set with the salary. So even if a class will not be extended, we don't know whether it will, who knows? So what we'll do is we'll kind of start writing private methods to validate it, and then set methods will remain, and the set methods will call validate if required. Okay. So I made a little change. I should have done it actually in the previous one also, but I forgot, right? Because I said there was only a 2-level inheritance. But now notice, so base calls its super, the super will call that super. That's okay. Everything, all 4 variables will be taken care of. Salary is validated here. I wrote a private salary method. The set salary remains, the get salary remains, the get earnings is fine. It's taking help of its parent and adding its own salary to it. And now let's see, what did we do here? We are going to just go to a new line every time. That's what we've kind of decided, just because it's easy. Go to a new line and show the salary. The heading, so super toString will show you everything from its super commission, which calls its super. So you will have everything right. Then you go to a new line, print the base salary, heading base salary, and then print the base salary in dollars. And job done. I've now created 3 levels of inheritance, but with an abstract class. Then comes a class that inherits from it. Then comes another class that inherits from commission. All common variables in the first, extra ones in the second, and more extra ones in the third, and so on and so forth. Now, salaried class variable and the weekly, if you kind of think about it, they are not children of commission employee. They're not. But they are children of employee. They're fine there, but they're not here. So don't create incorrect hierarchies. You'll have to create the right ones, right? Now let's see if this one will still work. The only difference I've done is I've added an extra class. Yes, I did. We do that now. We won't write the code again. I mean, then we are back to the same thing, right? Duplication of code. So we'll write it once and we'll call it from wherever we want. Of course, it is increasing the number of calls. It is increasing the execution time. But on the other hand, we have quality of code and its maintenance, which is much higher than calling of code. So I mean, as I said, some people prefer to just repeat the validation in the set and in the constructor. 2 places. And that's how they do it. They say, why make an extra call? I prefer it this way. To me, writing good code is more important than So it reduces your maintenance anyway, and it's only at one place. Right? So changes are easier. Same as named constants. Why do we create named constants? Because we don't want to keep making changes. There's nothing wrong in it. We could do a control F R and replace it all, but that's not how you should think, because that's not the right way to approach anything. Now let's run it. And when I run it, I should have my output. Where are you, my output window? There it is. So it's just neater now because I put it in different lines, but here it is. So the first employee is Anju Chawla, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gross sales, you can always put a dollar with it. Dollar, you just have to print in, right? You just have to type it in. It's saying that you have $1,000 and then my commission rate is 25% and 25% is 250. Oh, this only is working on commission rate, right? The second employee, it will be earnings will be salary, except that the base salary is coming after the earnings, but can't help much because it's kind of building upon it. New variables will always be added at the end. So therefore, I wasn't showing earnings there. Maybe we could have just shown it at the end, always at the end. So the salary is coming after the earnings. If you want to show earnings at the end, then I won't put it in the toString. Then we'll have to do something else about it. But right now, that's how it is coming. Total earnings are coming before the base salary of how it has been here. There it is. Right? So notice how step by step. So what I did was I just kind of removed the common variables from the commission class and I put it into the employee class. But in that process, excuse me, you also learned an abstract class. Try doing this. You won't be able to do it. Try creating an employee object. It won't allow you to do it. It was a string. I mean, if you bring your mouse over it, I mean, it was a string, then 2 strings, right? That's all it required, 2 strings. It was a social security number and it won't. You can't do it. Employee is abstract. You cannot. So you have to remember, abstract classes cannot be instantiated because they're abstract, because they don't have a method. So a method or more than one methods have not been implemented. So how will you create an object? Because if you create an object, it's okay, but how will you call those methods that have not been implemented? So it says you cannot create employee objects. And it's logical, right? So you've also learned what is a abstract class. So if you want to make a note for yourself, you can make a note here saying abstract classes or in the abstract class, wherever you want. Cannot be instantiated. They can be extended. There's no problem in extension, but they cannot be instantiated. Oops. Abstract classes cannot be instantiated. I mean, you could have put better data into it, but you can do this. So you will have to comment it out. The rest was just to show you that it's working. I haven't changed the data. The same text is still good. Okay, so next time when I come back, I'll complete the other 2 classes, which will not be very big at all. And then I'll also talk about interfaces, right? That will take care of inheritance and interfaces and abstract classes and what, and so on and so forth.
So super will own methods that extends the class. So
Super will automatically call the same the super dot whatever that method from the parent class will be called.
For the extent, right? Like if
Yes.
the employee is above, right? So
Yes.
you cannot go to the employee.
No, not directly, no. Super is, you can say super, you just can go to your parent. That's all you can do. And indirectly, the parent can go to its parent. So you could have indirect inheritance, which you have, but super will always call the method of the parent class, immediate parent class. Okay? Okay, so I'll put this on Blackboard for you, and I'll call it 3-level, the 3-level one.